A happiest Saturday to you. You are tuned in to the American Cream Show. The American Cream Show is a financial educational show where I show you, teach you, lead you, guide you on ways to redefine the American dream on your terms with Cream. I am your host, Hyacinth Henderson, and Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. I need to go back and watch the replay. I can never really tell when you all start seeing me versus when I start talking. That's really why I repeat the happy Saturday like 3, 4, 10 times, because the viewers don't start populating until well after. But then again, I don't want to be sitting up here just looking. So let me say it again. Happiest Saturday to you all. I'm going to start dating these because there are people who watch them in other platforms. Today is March 6th. You're tuned into the American Cream Show. It is a financial educational show with a twist. The twist is we don't do things traditional here. We redefine the American dream on our terms with Cream. Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. I see some people rolling in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for rolling in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to yourself. Thank you for sticking and staying on your journey. It is your journey. It is your story. You are the hero or the heroine. Is that how you say it? I don't know if it's heroine or heroine, but you are the hero. I am merely a guide. I'm merely here for a short period of time to assist you on your journey. So thank you for showing up for yourself. If you haven't done so already, please hit the share button. Hit the share button. It doesn't cost you anything. It is free 99 for you to share a lifetime full of info on your timeline. All right, so we're going to talk about today. Now, before I go there, let me bring it back. So I got some feedback, and they're like, Hyacinth, you're moving and grooving, you're sticking and shaking, but girl, slow down. So I'm going to try to slow down. I'm going to try to take some intentional breaths and go a little slower for my audience today. And if you see me speed up, that's just how it processes in my mind. But know that I am attempting to slow this down and break it down because above all, I want y'all to get it and get it good. All right. So again, thank you for being here. You're tuned into the American Cream Show. We got a lot to talk about today. Now, last week I talked about, I said that we're going to talk about own nothing and control everything. And I was like, boom, pow, we right here. We're ready. I'm going to show you how to do this. And I got a couple calls like, Hyacinth, wait, hold up. It's 8 billion people on the planet, people from all walks of life, people from different stages in their financial journeys. And you don't want to speak over anyone's head. So what I'm going to do is we're going to stretch this out. It may be a multi-show topic, but I'm going to give it to you good. Make sure you have your pen and your papers ready. And always make sure you come back and you watch the replay. You can watch the replay on Facebook. You can watch the replay on YouTube. And you can listen to the audio replay on the American Cream podcast on your phone. All right. So now, before we get into that, let's talk about moving from poverty to prosperity consciousness. It's been in my spirit for 2 days, right? And so I was like, let me be obedient. And so with that being there, this morning, I just went and fell into a space of listening and just really being obedient so that I could show up in the way that I'm meant to show up on your respective journey. So in order for you to be able to grasp the information that I share with you on the American Cream, your mind has to be right. You have to ask yourself, where am I in my state of consciousness and how do I make that shift? So we're going to get into, how you can control your assets without owning them. And we're going to get into all that. But before we get into that, we have to make sure that we have the conversation about moving from poverty to prosperity consciousness. And in order to do so, you need to be open. Everybody on here, drop the word open in the comment section. Open is the word. I am open. Let's go ahead and turn that into an affirmation. Because if you're not open, if you're closed, you can't catch nothing I'm throwing out. If your fists are closed, if your mind is closed, if your heart is closed, you can't pick up what I'm putting down. So I am open is the first affirmation that we're diving into today. So you need to be able to be open to new ideas, new information, and new methods. Because what I'm about to share with you may not be something that your grandmother knows. It may not be something that the coworker on your job who you feel like since they drive a Mercedes-Benz that they have it all together, they might not even know this. And you might take it to them and they might shut it down because they're closed. So I am open is the affirmation. Why poverty to prosperity consciousness? First of all, consciousness is the qualifying word. I know we want to, okay, we like poverty and prosperity. Yes, sign me up for that. But if you only want to be signed up for moving from poverty to prosperity without the word consciousness, you may very well find yourself ending up like some of the athletes, the entertainers, the lotto winners that we know, all of those people that we heard that made millions but didn't change their mindset and went back to poverty. So I don't want you to just move from poverty to prosperity. I want you to move from poverty consciousness, that is a qualifying word, to prosperity consciousness. What is consciousness? A shift in consciousness. Consciousness is defined as the awareness or perception of a said thing. So whatever the thing is, today, this is a money show. We're talking about money. We're talking about abundance. So when we make a shift from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness, we are changing our awareness. I am changing my awareness. That's the second affirmation. I am changing my awareness. How do you know? You might be like, well, Hyacinth, dang, I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down. You know, my fists used to be closed. All of them aren't closed anymore. Like, I'm trying to open up the thumb, but I need to be able to open up the rest of these fingers so I can really pick up what you're pouring into me. And let me give you some clues and ways to identify if you may be operating in a poverty consciousness. And here's the good news. At any given moment, you could change it. At any given moment. So when I run down 3 ways to identify if you are operating in poverty consciousness, the awareness, the mindset, the activities, when I give you these 3 ways, it's okay. It's all good. You can shift at any given point in time. Your today is going to be different than your yesterday. Your today is going to be different to tomorrow if you decide. All right. So one way you may not be aware that you're living in poverty consciousness is you believe that everything you know is all there is to know. You believe that everything you know, that's it, and that's all. I know it, I said it, I meant it, that is it. No one or nothing beyond your current state of thinking or belief is right. If you hold that belief, I want you to say right now, you don't have to type that in the chat box. You don't have to type that in the comment box. That's between you and the Lord. But I want you to take it to the meditation table, take it to your prayer mat, take it to your journal and say, wait a minute, do I really feel like I know all that there is to know? Everything that I know is all that there is to know. How does this show up? A common place that this shows up is when we start talking about religion. When we start talking about politics, when we start talking about certain things that we have such a strong conviction about, it's okay to be strong in your position, but also realize that there may be some stuff you don't know. So as we realize that may be keeping us, and it's keeping us in a place of a poverty consciousness, how is that affecting our ability to move to prosperity consciousness? Because what we teach you at the Henderson Financial Group, what we share with you on the Understanding Money Show, on the American Cream Show, on the Understanding Money Part 2 show, on the Rising Solution, on Baggage Claim, what we share with you on, I just listed 5 shows, maybe 3, 4, 5 shows for free. You don't got to subscribe. You don't have to pay a fee. What we share with you on our platform on the Henderson Financial Group page. If you feel like you know everything that there is to know and nobody else knows nothing more, you're going to watch our videos and be like, man, what are they talking about? This ain't for me. So it's important that you I am open and expand so that you can move from that. So you believe that everything you know is all there is to know. That's one way. Second way, you believe that how it is how it will forever be. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. And this came to me in my sleep. I guess I was sleeping. I don't know what I was doing. What got you here won't get you there. So if you believe that how it is now is how it will forever be, you are living and operating in poverty consciousness. What does that look like? Number one way that looks like is you're not planning for the future. If you're not putting some of your nuts away as a good squirrel would do for that winter, you believe that the way it is now is sunny in sunny South Florida. A few days ago, I woke up, I went outside, and it was cold. When I mean cold, I mean 60 degrees. I know y'all up north. You're like, Hyacinth, what are you talking about? That's beautiful weather. I was cold because a day before that, it was 85 degrees. Now, imagine if I believed that it was always going to be 85 degrees. In a few months, it's going to be 100 degrees in South Florida. By the time June, July hit, it's going to be 100 degrees. Imagine if I go shopping and I say I'm only exclusively buying bathing suits and straw hats and sandals and sunglasses. And then we roll around to November, December, and January, and I'm freezing. If you believe that how it is how it will forever be, you are operating in a poverty consciousness. You got to be able to pick up what we are putting down on the Henderson Financial Group Facebook page. What got you here won't get you there. What does that mean? Some of the stuff that worked in the past, it served its purpose. You're out of that season. You're out of that cycle. Now you need to move on. So in order for you to be able to move on and welcome, and this is me intentionally slowing down. If you all are just joining in the beginning of the show, I said I heard word on the street was I talk too fast. Word on the street is that I fire off through this. So I'm trying to intentionally slow down today, okay? So when you see me pause, it is me intentionally slowing down. What got you here won't get you there. Understand what got you here, give it space, honor it, and keep it moving. All right, the third way that you may be operating, the third indicator that you're operating in a poverty consciousness is you believe that the level that you're on and the level that which you know, that's it. It's the top floor. I'm at the top. I make $100,000 a year. I'm at the top. I make $40,000 a year. I'm at the top. I make $300,000 a year. I'm at the top. I drive a Mercedes Benz. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I'm at the top. If you believe you're at the top floor, you cut yourself off for more. There's always another floor above you. You are not at the top floor. You may be higher than you were yesterday, but there's always room for more. How do you know that you believe this, that you're at the top floor? You use limiting words like only, just, and you try to cap your own potential. I don't generally like the word try, but I'm going to give that to y'all today because I don't want to affirm that you are capping your own potential. I'm going to say that you try to cap your own potential because when you try something, you still got room to wiggle out of that. So you try to cap your own potential. Now, notice the word choice that I used when I went over these 3 ways that you may be operating in poverty consciousness. Each of them started with you believe. Why? I need to give you some ownership. I didn't need you to wiggle out of that. You believe it. You believe it, not you think it. You know why? Because a belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over again. So when you're writing this down, you're like, dang, Hyacinth said, I believe that. Do I believe that? Let me start with the man or woe man in the mirror, like Mike Jack said. Do I believe that? Do you believe that you are at the top floor? Do you believe that everything you know is all there is to know? Do you believe that this is how it will forever be? If so, today is your lucky day. You have the grandest opportunity to make a change. Remember, a belief is something that we keep telling ourselves over and over again. We get to change our beliefs. All right, I talked about the lotto winners going back to being broke and broken because their account went to a place that their consciousness didn't. Oh, that was kind of good. I have to write this down because if not, we'll be talking all day on the show. And Mr. Henderson will be coming up here like, Hyacinth, you still on? So, poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. Now let's get into today's show. We're going to talk about asset protection. What is asset protection? Somebody in the comment section, drop me a comment and let me know last week what we declared, we affirmed, we reminded ourselves and our neighbor on our left and right. What is our biggest asset? I want to see those comments rolling through. Let me scroll down. I'll get my glasses on. I'm going to try to make it work and pivot beyond the camera. All right. What is your biggest asset? We talked about this last week. I should see this all in the comment section. What is your biggest asset? What is your biggest asset? What is your biggest asset? We are not moving on until I see the comments rolling in about what is your biggest asset. Because today we're talking about assets and we want to talk about asset protection. And before we talk about asset protection, we got to know what an asset is. What is your biggest asset? What do we talk about? What was it? Are they rolling in? Thank you. I am my biggest asset. Ourselves, self, myself. I am my biggest asset. I am my biggest asset. Thank y'all. Y'all are affirming it again. You're doing that for you, not for me. Some of y'all never met a day in my life in the physical form. Never met you in my life. But look at you affirming yourself. You're being reminded on this beautiful Saturday to affirm yourself. All right. So you are your biggest asset. We talked about that last week. Outside of that, my definition of an asset is something of value that produces income, either now or in the future. That has the ability to produce some income. It's going to make you some money. So if you got your fancy car and you're not Ubering it out, you aren't putting a magnetic sticker advertising and charging people for advertising every month, then it's a liability, not an asset. Let me break that down for you again. An asset aside from yourself, because you are your biggest asset. An asset is something of value that produces income or has the ability to produce income in the near future. I ain't talking about down the line. That is my definition of an asset. You can define it however you want to. I took the acronym CREAM and remixed it and defined it how I want to define it. You define it how you want to define it. But if you take my definition, let me give you the example of an automobile. So old ideology says, oh my gosh, you don't need a fancy car. You don't need a Mercedes Benz. You don't need whatever your favorite car is. I'm not giving nobody no free promo, but old way of thinking, closed-minded. They're all that I know is all that there is to know. Poverty consciousness says, oh man, a luxury car is a liability. Well, it can be a liability. A luxury car can be a liability if you are spending out more money than it is bringing in. It can be a liability. It does not have to be a liability. This is why we are started the show with you being open and accepting that you're reprogramming your mind and you're moving from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. How can a luxury car ever become an asset, Hyacinth? The service cost is so high. I got to put 93 gas in it. I got to only take it to the dealership. How can this be an asset? If it produces income for you, it could be an asset. How can your luxury car produce income for you? Well, the very basic. It can be, you can Uber it. You can Uber Eats, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, some people didn't think of that. Some people did. Let's take it up a level. Because remember I said one of the poverty consciousness mindsets is thinking that you are on the top floor, the levels and stuff that you know, that's all there is to know. Aside from using your car to produce income by running back and forth and running out your gas with Uber, you can get a magnetic, what if you use your car and make it a marketing billboard? If you live in a major city, let's say Miami, LA, downtown. Let's say you live in one of these places and you have to park, or where it's a high traffic area, and you can go and you can park your car for $48 all day. This luxury car that people are going to look at because people like luxury, call it what it is. And when they look at it, it's some advertisement on the side of their car. So now what you have done is you have moved that car and you've turned it into a billboard. You've turned the luxury automobile that you have been programmed and so close-minded to think that it was a liability, you've turned it into an asset. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Please let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. I feel like that was deep, and I feel like you got to get that. I feel like you cannot let that go over your head. And if I sped up a little bit, it's okay. Run the tape back after the show. If you haven't done so, hit the share button. Share. It doesn't cost you anything but free 99. We're talking about moving from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. We're talking about taking a liability and making it an asset. We're saying, okay, I got a luxury car. It costs me XYZ. How can I monetize this liability and flip it into an asset? Can I use it as a marketing vehicle? Can I use it as a billboard? Can I rent it out to people and let them go drive it and park it in high traffic space? What can I do? I'm not going to give you all the juice because I want you to think for yourself. Remember, this is your journey. I'm just here for a season. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're not going to be here forever. I'm just here for a season on your journey. So pick up what I'm putting down and move on. All right. So now that we know an asset is something that has the ability to produce income. And the reason why you are your biggest asset, because you have the ability to produce income. It doesn't matter what season you're in. Maybe you feel like you couldn't produce income. If you didn't watch the Wednesday show, go back and run that tape back. On that show, me and Mr. Henderson discussed how he was a certified financial planner working at a prominent financial planning firm, and he still started selling snow cones. He knew he was an asset. And he still started wrapping horse poop and shipping out to people. He knew he was an asset. When you say I am my biggest asset, it's not about ego. It is about you stepping up and showing out. Speaking of ego, what I want you to know is that the I in ego is silent. Right, I know. Fancy. I came up with that this morning. It just dropped into me. Boop. That's why I was a little late. I had to put on the full armor this morning. The full armor. The I in ego is silent. What does that mean? Ego's focus is what the individual can see. The I is in ego is silent. That means ego focuses on what you can see, the 5 senses. Me and Mr. Henderson talked about that 2 Wednesdays ago. So the I in ego is silent. And I want you to hold that there because we're going to come back to that. But I just wanted you to not miss that. All right. We're going to talk about the importance of protecting your business assets. We got a lot to talk about. They said, Hyacinth, how you going to fit this in under an hour? Let's break it down. Let's go with slow because you want people to get this. So we're going to talk about business. We talk a lot about encouraging people to start their own business, to start a side business. I'm not encouraging you to leave your good paying job and go start from the ground up. I'm encouraging you to do both. As speaking of which, shout out to Miss Redhead. My beautiful earrings were gifted to me from Miss Redhead and her daughter. And I love them so much. I love that they're handmade. And she also put cowrie shells on them. Cowrie. Sometimes my pronunciation, so I spell it. Y'all can hopefully understand what I'm saying. I love cowrie shells. Love them so much. So let me share their Instagram. And I feel like I was like, dang, Miss Redhead has been around. She listened and she applies. Not only is she a client, but the information that we share on these shows, she'll email me, text me, hey, I did this, and she'll apply it. So their Instagram is Fibers by Dominique. If you're on here, Miss Redhead, please go ahead and drop that in there. Fibers by Dominique. Her and her daughter, she got together and they started a side business. They didn't need to start a side business. When I say need, meaning they weren't broke. That's what I mean. But they understand the value in starting a side business. All right. So we're going to talk about protecting your assets as a business, because I teach and I preach that all day long. And I don't want to feel like I'm sending you out there in the fire. Like Hyacinth, you like, all right, start a business, girl, but it ain't that simple. Give me some more. So we're going to talk about more. So there are actually tools that if you want to protect, they're actually tools if you want to own properties, own assets, such as properties, businesses, stock accounts, and things like that. If you want to protect them, and then if you want to own them in secrecy. Two different things, protection and secrecy. And the real word is anonymity, maybe. Tongue tied again. Anonymously. Let me say anonymously. If you want to have asset protection, or if you want to own anonymously. Two different things. Today we're talking about protection. We'll get into the owning anonymously on a different day, because I can't skip you from first grade to college and be like, you got to get this. It's so easy. I'm breaking it down. Why aren't you here? Well, ma'am, I was just learning my ABCs. Now you got me over here where I'm responsible for going to class by myself. So we're going to get there. Today we're going to start with an LLC. So if you listen to the American Cream Show, the E in Cream stands for entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about an LLC. All right, I got a little note, see extra sheet for details. So the first thing we want to do is we want to run it as an independent entity. Run it as an independent entity. This goes back to the I in ego is silent. What do I mean by running by an independent entity? If you want to start an LLC, if you want to start a business and you want to protect your assets, you want to have some level of asset protection, then understand you can't have the LLC and be talking about it's me. The I in ego is silent. It's mine. It's my company. No. Run the LLC as an independent entity. What does that mean? You have to disconnect and know that you are not the company. The I in ego is silent. Silence your ego. The I in ego is silent. Silence your ego. Act in the LLC's name. The first tip is you must act in the LLC's name and not in your name. It's my LLC. It's my company. I'm the big wig. You're going to lose protection that way, baby. We trying to protect assets. We're trying to separate our individual assets and then own stuff in the company, because the acronym LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. Limited Liability Company. But if the I in ego is silent and we don't recognize that our ego is showing up, we're all attached to this LLC. No, it's an entity. And you work for the LLC. It is not you. You are an agent of the LLC. Language matters. Act as an agent in the LLC. So that's the mindset shift. This is why we started off today's show with talking about the importance of consciousness and shifting consciousness and opening yourselves up to pick up what I am putting down. Because if you're closed-minded, you can't pick up what I'm putting down. Second thing, make sure that the other agents of the LLCs acts in the best interest of the LLC, not you. Not you. Now, I know y'all thinking, what are you talking about, other agents? This is my company. The I and the ego is silent. Ego, is that you? Is that you? Is it if you want it to be all about you, you don't need to start a business. You don't have to. Ask yourself, is this my ego showing up? So yes, you're going to need other agents. Now, how you go through the process of selecting those agents and what percentage of ownership and responsibility those agents have, can't give you no blanket advice on that. But there needs to be a process. And because there needs to be a process doesn't mean you need to put it on hold. We don't pause to avoid the process. We go forward, we push forward to engage the process. So there needs to be a process where you have to identify some people who you can see, touch, smell, taste, and be a member of your LLC and do business with. Let me tell y'all a quick funny story. Y'all know I like to tell stories. So I got a new nurse for my mom. My mom lives with me. I take care of her. And the nurse came to my house Thursday, did the evaluation. By Friday, the next day she came, and I don't know why, but I don't have to know why people do certain things. But she basically, let me say this. She told me about an opportunity for her to buy a property, cash, and flip it and make this great profit. The only thing was she didn't have the money. She didn't have the money. So it's a great opportunity, and she's selling me, and I'm like, ma'am, it's 9:30 in the morning, but I'm gonna hear you out. I'm gonna let you finish, right? 9:30 in the morning, you selling me on this opportunity, so that you can buy the house, cash, and flip it, and make $200,000 or more on it. Oh, that sounds great. At this point, as I let her talk, because I know that she gonna give it to me the way it need to be given. She says that she has a friend who owns lots of properties. And this friend is a beast at real estate. I said, thank you, spirit guides. That's my window. You should ask your friend. Your friend will surely show you. And one of the things that I shared with her, I said, friendship is more than having parties, drinking, having a good time. So when we go back to, well, who am I gonna put on my LLC? Well, who are you around? Who are you connected to? Because if you're only connected to people who, honey, you can only have parties. You only connected to people who want to go spend your money and not connected to people who are talking about growth and assets and making money and building wealth. You need new connections. Because you should be able to say, listen, I have a connection, whether close, whether far. It doesn't have to be my bestie. It doesn't have to be somebody I talk to every day. But while I am building this entity so that it can protect my assets, I can limit the liability of my personal assets, and I'm going to build it right. I need some people. If you don't got no people, get you some people. Start building those relationships now. And don't try to build them like the nurse. The next day, you see me one day, next day, can you give me some money? That's not the way you build relationships. So that's part 2. That's the second point. Make sure that the other agents in the LLC act in the best interest of the LLC, not you. It's not about you. The I and the ego is silent. 3, we're going to talk about piercing the corporate veil. I know a lot of you may not have even heard of that comment before. Piercing the corporate veil. What is piercing the corporate veil? That is a fancy term for the courts to say, oh, I seen you riding around over here and you thought you was protected. Like you had this veil on, picture a veil, like a wedding. Picture that, right? And you had this veil on and you thought we couldn't see you, but I was able to pierce it and really see who you are. I was able to pierce the corporate veil of your LLC. And I found out that this is just a front. It's a fake. It's a fraud. You commingling funds. It is not really operating like a business. And now all your stuff is open. It's you. The I and ego is silent. That's something for you to journal about. The I and ego is silent. Where is that showing up for you? So what do we need to do to avoid piercing the corporate veil? Number 1, hold board meetings. It's not enough to go into make my own LLC express.com and pay $2.99 and download your documents and say, now I'm an LLC. You're not limiting any liability if you don't follow some important steps. What do you need to do? Hold board meetings. That's 1. Number 2, keep board meeting minutes. Yes, we actually have to do this. Now, when you get into advanced tax strategy planning, and when you get to the stage, at this point, you're going to call my girl Larissa up in Atlanta, and she's going to show you how to do this. But holding a board meeting can be, not for everybody, it's not blanket advice, can be, I want to hold my board meeting, my annual board meeting this year in St. Lucia, in the south of France. And so we can figure out how to hold our board meeting, conduct the meeting minutes, and have it be beneficial for our tax situation. Larissa will talk more into that. I can't give you blanket advice on that. We're going to adopt bylaws. 3rd is adopt bylaws. So let me go back. Hold board meetings, keep board minutes, adopt board bylaws. You are not the LLC. You are an agent of the LLC. Yes, you went online or you spoke to somebody, a professional, and you incorporated this. You have the grand idea, but it's not you. The I in ego is silent. Remove the ego. When it's I, me, that's ego. Remove it. We're going to act in the name of the LLC. We're going to make sure that the other member or members of the LLC, could be just one. You got to figure that out. Act in the interest of the LLC. You're going to make sure you don't pierce the corporate veil, meaning I'm pretending that this is the LLC because I figured that I could get away this way, but I'm not actually following the rules. The fourth one, do not commingle funds. This is huge. Let's spend some time with this. If you haven't done so already, please hit the share button. You are tuned into the American Cream Show. The American Cream Show is a financial educational show with a twist, child. The twist is we ain't doing nothing traditional here. Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. Share. It's free 99. And the information that I actually share on the free public platform in the public domain, if you listen, do a little bit more research and apply it, you can actually shift to abundance. So we're at the spot where I'm talking about do not commingle funds. This is important. This is very important because when the I in ego is silent and you don't really realize that you're acting in the best interest of yourself, you start doing things like swiping that business card, debit card, credit card, whatever, talking about, oh, it's a business write-off. It's for the business. You at Barton G. It's for the business. Let me break that down for you. So let's say something. Tax credits are different than a tax deduction because lots of times people spend $1 to save 20 cents when you could have either redirected your dollar somewhere else, could have kept your dollar. You could have had a better use of your dollar. So a tax credit is going to give you a dollar for dollar deduction. What does that mean? Something cost me $1,000. I get to take a reduction, not deduction. It's going to give you a dollar for dollar reduction, not deduction. Something cost me $1,000. I get to reduce my tax liability, my taxable income by $1,000. It gives you a dollar for dollar reduction. Going out to eat does not. A tax deduction, different from a reduction, is based on your marginal tax bracket. If you don't know what your marginal tax bracket is, that is your homework for this weekend. You may have to do some research this weekend and first thing Monday morning, reach out to your tax professional. Everyone under the sound of my voice should know what their marginal tax bracket is. You must know this. You will be surprised at how many people don't know this. I'm not judging you. I am informing you that this is information that you need to know. When we talk about tax deductions being based on your marginal tax bracket, let me tell you how that looks. That looks like, well, I got this business card and I'm commingling funds and, I'm Big Willie because I am the LLC and the LLC is me. Ego, not, it's a separate entity, right? And y'all want to go to lunch? Let's go to Juvia. Beautiful restaurant, by the way. Let's go to Juvia. And when the bill comes, I got it. And the bill comes up to $200. So if you're in the 20% tax bracket, your marginal tax rate is 20%, and the bill comes up to $200, guess how much the IRS says you get to save? $40. Don't worry about that. The other $160, we want it. That's how that works. So when we talk about commingling funds and not commingling funds, you're separate from your entity. If you have to pay yourself a salary from your entity, your LLC, do that. You don't need to be a W-2 employee to pay yourself. You can pay yourself as a 1099 worker. You can. Can is a qualified word. I'm not advising you. You got to speak to a tax professional on that. Ding, ding, ding. There come the registration gods. Hyacinth, you cannot give blanket tax advice on the show. Any information herein is not intended to be blanket tax advice. It is not. You must seek your personal tax professional. There we go. I cleared that up. No fine for me. All right. So commingling funds. We want to make sure we are acknowledging and aware of these things so that we don't pierce the corporate veil. So now we talked about Miss Redhead and the beautiful earrings. I got a scrunchie too. I got these earrings and a scrunchie too. I didn't wear the scrunchie today though. And her Instagram account and how you can support them. I don't know if they've incorporated yet. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe their business is not at a space yet where they need to incorporate. This information will help you if you are incorporated, if you're thinking about incorporated, if you incorporated and you need to go back and clean some stuff up, you really need to call Larissa then. Because you're like, wait a minute, if somebody come and see me, they're going to look all between this corporate veil and they're going to snatch it off and do the A-Town stomp on it in the mud. If that's the case, no worries. Today is a new day. You can make new choices, new decisions. All right. So that is running it as an independent entity. All of that was running as an independent entity. I feel like it was a lot. All right. Step 2. Point 2. Make the appropriate tax status election. The appropriate. I'm going to let you think about that while I take a sip of water. Appropriate. What's appropriate? What's appropriate for you may not be appropriate for me. Can't give you no blanket tax advice. I want to bring it to your attention that when you file an LLC, you must make a tax status election. If not, the IRS will give you the default and choose it for you. What does that mean? An LLC is a legal entity. If you want to have some say so, you got to tell the IRS how to tax it. Now, your choices are an S Corp or a C Corp. Most people, let me not say most people, I don't like blanketing. Some people, there is a way where we're like, oh, I want to be taxed as an S Corp. There are benefits. There are benefits to being taxed as an S Corp, and there are benefits as being taxed as a C Corp. I will say this, as we start to move from first grade and graduate, when we come back and revisit this topic and we start talking about, remember I said there's a difference between protection and being anonymous. When we start talking about anonymity, maybe that's the word, anonymity, anonymously. When we start talking about that, then you may can't give you blanket advice, that the S Corp may not be best served for you to be anonymous, to own an entity and move anonymously. We'll come back to that. But right now, if you just starting out, you ain't starting out in the first grade worrying about how to be anonymous. You worrying about how to get legit, how to get your name on the board. And that's what this is about, how to separate your personal assets from your business assets. That's where we are now. But you can put that in your back pocket. There is an opportunity. There is a way for you to own businesses, own assets, own property without people being able to look you up on the internet. Why does that matter? Because let me tell you, there are people who just sit at home all day and night long and are vested in your business more than you are vested in your business. They looking you up on the internet. They trying to figure out what companies you own. They trying to figure out what properties you own. 2 weeks ago, a lady called me, said she's my Facebook friend, and started asking me who my cousin was. Does this person do my hair? Do I have a professional makeup artist? Can she have my cell phone number? So you're going to move to the space of wanting to be anonymous. But for now, get with your tax person and figure out, okay, boom, check it. I got this LLC. Do I need an S Corp election? Do I need to be taxed as a C Corp? Let's have that conversation. If you don't have the conversation, then you may set yourself up to run into some issues down the line. All right. Now let's talk about trust. Talked about running it as an independent entity, the appropriate levels of insurance. We talked about this briefly last week. I say last night because last night, shout out to my girl Sharia, we went to Best Buy to do some electronic shopping. And when the guy, the sales rep said, do you gonna get the insurance on this? She said, oh yes, we're getting the insurance. I watched your show last week. We're getting the insurance. And it was that's why I said last night. It was so funny. So number 2, buy the appropriate levels of insurance. I talked about this on last week's show. I believe it was last week's show. You need some insurance. You need insurance. Depending on the type of business you're running, you need insurance. You don't want to take on the risk yourself. You want to spread that risk out amongst somebody else, a third party, which is the insurance company. All insurance is saying you get in bed with me and let's see who buck first. That's what insurance is. Okay, come in here and get in this bed. I'm going to pay you a little small fee. Get in the bed with me. And then when the boogeyman come in, let's see who they take out first. Either you going to pay or I'm going to pay. What's going to happen? But you got to pay the premium so that when the boogeyman come up, the insurance company like, all right, you got me in this bed. You've been holding up your end of the bargain. You got me on these 1,000 thread count sheets. I mean, you got the essential oils in here. Somebody kicking in the door. Now it's time for me to show up and show out because every single month you've paid the premium. So when the big dog comes in, I got you. You understand how that works? You pay the monthly insurance premium so that when a big event happens, the insurance company can say, I got you. You did your part, I did my part. You see how that works? Get the appropriate insurance for your business. If you don't have insurance for your business, it's not too late. Get you some today. Call around, do your research. All right, so the last part we're going to talk about is trust. Let me make sure I went over everything. I told y'all I have to write down notes, because if not, we'll be here for hours and hours and hours. And my daddy will be coming upstairs saying, what are you doing, child? All right, let's talk about explore your trust options. Explore your trust options. There are different options of trust out there. I am accompanying you on your journey. I cannot sit on the internet and give you blanket advice. I can give you information to make you think and ponder, do I want to go there? Do I want to go there? And if you want to have a one-on-one, you can give us a call, 305-825-1444. Shout out to James C. I heard him say, plug the number, Hyacinth. Plug the number, 305-825-1444, the Henderson Financial Group. So let's explore our trust options. And some of you may have never heard of a trust, and some of you have heard of a trust, but you didn't know there are so many options. I'm just going to give you a few options to explore, to think about, and to invest your time in this weekend instead of watching the reruns of your favorite show. All right. Living trust, a charitable remainder trust, land trust is one that some people may be familiar with, a spendthrift trust. And then I want to go into, and there are many more, but I wanted to give you those. Those are the ones that resonated with me to share with you today. Because some people only know about a living trust. They only know about, instead of a will, I want to have a trust. But we can use trust as an estate planning tool and as an asset protection tool as well. So there's so many different trust options. Later on in the show, when we start, later on in the year, maybe in a few months, as I build up, as we start talking about operating anonymously, I'm going to put you onto a different type of trust. But you may not be ready for that yet. And if you are ready for that, if you're saying, Hyacinth, I understand the work that you're doing. I understand that you are taking it slow for the masses because we want everybody to get it, but I'm ready. If you're ready to say, listen, I'm ready to move from first grade. Well, I'm already out of the first grade and I'm ready for that one-on-one, then give us a call. That's 305-825-1444. And we can have that conversation one-on-one about how we can make sure not only are your assets protected, but you can do so anonymously. All right. So 2 words that I wanted to talk with you about, and I'm going to end today's show. I want to talk with you about revocable and irrevocable. Now, if you've heard of trust before, you may have heard of these terms. Irrevocable and revocable. Let's start with revocable. Revocable means you could take it back. Revocable means I want it back. I gave it to you, and at any given point in time, I want to have it back. Oops, my bad. It's mine now. The I and ego is silent. Most people will jump to that. Yeah, I want to be able to take it, and then if they lose their mind and start showing their behind, I want my stuff back. And the masses will encourage you want to be able to take it back, to look into a revocable trust. We talked about moving from a poverty mindset, a poverty consciousness, to a prosperity consciousness. Anytime ownership means just came to me. Ownership means when you own it, you owe. When you own it, you owe. Who do you owe? The IRS. Plain and simple. Ownership means I don't want to go too fast, but that just came to me. Ownership means So when you're like, it's mine, this and this, that's cool. You're going to pay the taxes. You're going to have some tax liability, right? And depending on what grade you're in, that may be fine for you now, but eventually we all want to graduate to the place that we learn how to use the tax code and the tax system to our benefit. So when we start talking about revocable, I want it to be mine, I want to take it back, understand that ownership means the IRS. You're going to have some tax liability. And if your goal is to minimize and mitigate your tax responsibility, you may want to be open your mind up to exploring irrevocable trust options. Revocable means I get to take it back because the I and ego is silent. My ego is showing up. I ain't even realize I'm trying to make it all about me. Or let me not follow the masses and take the M off and look like that, right? Let me explore this irrevocable option. What does irrevocable mean? Irrevocable means you can't take it back. Once you give it away, it's gone. Ooh, Mufasa. Once you give it away, it's gone. Now, to the average person, you're like, I want my stuff back. Why do I want to give away something and it's gone? Well, because you can still control it. There are levels. Poverty consciousness. Go back to the first page. Run the tape back. We talked about this. There are levels to everything. You think you're at the top floor now because you own a lot of stuff in your personal name. You can do better. You cannot technically own the stuff, but control the stuff. The I in ego is silent. Is your ego showing up? So revocable, I get to take it back. That's what most people, a lot of people, when you go to the bank and you start doing planning, they're going, oh, revocable, get it, because you never know. You may want to change your mind, honey. You want to change your mind. You want your stuff back. That's revocable. Irrevocable is, nah, I'm going to set up an appropriate plan so that I don't need to take it back, because if I take it back with everything else that I have going on, now I am then again responsible for the tax liabilities and responsibilities, and I don't want to do that. But I don't want to give it away and not have any control over it. There is a way that you can give things away and still maintain the control. Can we talk about that for hours and hours? Yes, we can. Are you ready to talk about that for hours and hours today on live Facebook? Maybe not. I don't know where you at. You got to let me know. Let me know. We're rounding up. And I know I started today's show after 9:15. So while it says I'm only 45 minutes in, the clock says it's 10:09. And if I push it for the extra 15 minutes, Mr. Henderson going to be up here. James T going to be calling. They're going to be like, Hycie, what are you doing? So we're getting ready to round up and wrap up. But I want you to understand that today's show, the focus is about moving from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness, being aware, and also looking at how you're operating your business, and then putting on your vision board or on your journal. There is a difference between protection and anonymity. I think I got it. Protection and anonymity. There is a difference. There's a difference between the two. You don't have to figure them all out right now. We just need to know that there's a difference. So right now we're going to start with where we are. Get our minds right. Remind ourselves that a belief is something that we keep telling ourselves over and over again. I put on the It Is You shirt today because everything I talked about was about you. You want to make a change, it's about you. It is you. It's you. It's your belief. It's your behaviors. It's your actions. It's your surroundings. It's your friends. It's your education. It's your inspiration. It's everything has to do with you. It's your movements. It's the action that you take. It is you. It's not me. I'm merely just here for a short time on your journey. That's it. Let me make sure I went over everything. All right. I think we did good. I would do a rundown, but you know what? I'm a little tired. Energy expended. Lots of energy expended. So let's go do a run through. If you haven't shared already, make sure you hit the share button. I see all the comments coming in. I love it. I see I'm my biggest fan. Good morning. Let's run through. Denise Ward, thank you so much for being here. Kent Redhead, thank you so much for being here. I don't know if that's Mrs. Redhead on Kent's account or Kent, but thank you for being here. Mr. Redhead, Brenda Brown, thank you for being here. Janice McCrae, thank you for being here. Eb T, she says, good morning, Hyacinth. Hey, girl, hey. Then we got Miss Redhead, my girl Larissa. That is the certified tax coach. She will get you and your taxes together. Let's talk about taxes real quick. So as I said, let's open up our minds to move from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. We don't fear taxes. This is not the boogeyman. We have to learn how to connect with and use the tax code to our benefit so that we're not running. We ain't got time to be out of breath. We're making big moves. Poverty consciousness, I'm running for my tax liability. I'm running for my tax responsibility. I fear taxes. Oh, God, I don't want to make too much money because I'm going to have to pay taxes. That's a poverty consciousness. We don't do that anymore. We plan, and Larissa's the girl for the lady or girl. It's girl, but she's a grown woman to do that. All right, Larry Rivers, thank you so much, Mr. Rivers, for being here. My girl, June Daney, thank you for being here. Tracy Tompkins. June, my girl Diana George. Today is me and Diana George's 1 year anniversary. We met 1 year ago in person for the first time, and we have done some amazing things. I keep forgetting to bring the hashtag that journal. But we wrote a book. We wrote a journal together. We met. Today is our 1 year anniversary. I am forever grateful for meeting her in person back in March of 2020. Who else do we have on here? Miss Dorothy, Miss Henderson. That is Diana's mother. She holds a special place in my heart as well. I don't know. You could just feel energy. Thank you for being here. Doretha Hall, thank you so much for being here. Hey, Miss Annie, my Annie Edwards, thank you for being here. Nika James, I am open. I love it. Erin Harris says she's open. All the affirmations coming in. I am open. I am open. I am open. I love it. Thank you all so much for being here. I think that is about it for the comments. I'm going to make sure. I think I got Miss Brenda Brown. DeLawrence Moore, Victor Jones, awesome. Desiree Hanfield, thank y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Do yourselves a favor, hit the share button. Don't worry about if they are liking, they're looking. Trust me, they're looking. Be the best you that you can be. Commit to yourself. Make the commitment to being open to moving from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. That is an affirmation. That's what we're affirming. We're affirming that we're open. We're carrying that with us for the next 90 days or more. Shifting from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness. Up next, we have the Understanding Money Part 2 show with Mr. Robert Henderson Jr. and James T. Until then, y'all stay safe and stay sane. I will see you next Wednesday. All right. Peace.